third episode begins with Maggie arriving at the bar, where she finds Dillard, continuing his unusual habit of keeping Walker customers around and talking to them as if they are still people. Negan is clearly irritated by the behavior, unable to understand why Dillard refuses to accept that these creatures are no longer human. While at the bar, Maggie speaks with Dillard about his plans and his belief that the land always gives something back. His words remind Maggie of her father, Herschel Sr., and the way he always believed in rebuilding and creating something meaningful, despite the world around them falling apart. However, Maggie has come for a more serious reason. She tells Negan that the Dama is dead. She still struggles with how to process everything that happened, but Negan points out that her death gives Maggie the chance to finally move forward instead of being trapped by the past. Meanwhile, the hospital crew begins transforming Central Park into a place where they can grow food and create a more sustainable future. As they work toward rebuilding their new community, Negan focuses on another task, preparing Dillard for the dangers of the world outside. Negan attempts to train Dillard in fighting walkers and surviving when things go wrong. He tries to teach him that surviving requires making difficult choices, but Dillard pushes back, insisting that he has managed to stay alive in his own way. Their disagreement shows the difference between them. Negan believes Dillard needs to become tougher, while Dillard believes his unusual connection with walkers has helped him survive. Their conversation is interrupted when two separate groups of survivors arrive at the island seeking help. Renata is surprised to see Negan still involved and moving around the community. Negan explains that he is only helping because protecting the island is necessary for his own survival, but his actions suggest he may be more invested than he admits. The newcomers are from two rival groups, Belleville, led by Bauer, and Newark, led by Claudia. The two communities have been locked in a violent conflict for a long time, with constant attacks between them leaving many people injured. After seeing the Statue of Liberty lit up as a signal of hope, both groups traveled to the island believing they would find safety and medical assistance. The arrival of the two groups creates immediate tension. Luis, who already questioned the decision to light the Statue of Liberty because it could attract unwanted attention, feels his concerns have been proven correct. More survivors arriving means more danger, more demands, and more pressure on their limited resources. At the same time, Negan continues encouraging Maggie to take a stronger leadership role. He believes Renata is not prepared to handle the responsibility of protecting the island, and thinks Maggie is better suited to make the difficult decisions needed to build their future. Despite his frustrations, Negan surprises everyone when he allows Dillard's entire alcohol supply to be used to help the injured newcomers. When Renata questions his decision, Negan admits that he is not doing it only for the survivors. He wants Dillard to feel normal again and believes helping others gives him a sense of purpose. Inside the hospital, the situation quickly becomes complicated. Members of Belleville and Newark begin clashing even while their injured people desperately need treatment. Luis and Herschel try to determine which patients need immediate attention, but the leaders of both groups demand priority for their own people. Claudia threatens Luis and insists that Newark's wounded should be treated first. Maggie refuses to allow the conflict to continue and has both Claudia and Bauer taken into custody to stop them from interfering with the medical effort. Negan then decides to handle the situation using methods from his darker past. He takes the two captured leaders away and brings Dillard with him. He creates a twisted version of the old Lucille intimidation tactic, giving Dillard the weapon and forcing the two leaders into a dangerous situation. Dillard is blindfolded and told to swing at the two tied-up leaders until one of them agrees to stop the fighting and take responsibility for their actions. The scene reflects Negan's old methods of controlling people through fear, but this time, things are different. Before Dillard can actually hurt either of them, Negan stops him. Back in the hospital, Luis continues treating patients from both groups. While caring for a critically injured Belleville survivor, he helps guide Herschel through treating a Newark patient in equally serious condition. Despite the impossible circumstances, their plan works, proving that cooperation between the two sides is possible. Maggie and Luis share a moment as they realize their decision to treat everyone equally may have been the right one. They understand that saving lives could be the first step toward ending the conflict between the two communities. However, Renata begins to panic as she realizes the island now has more outsiders than expected. With limited resources and growing pressure, she fears they may not be able to protect everyone. The easiest option would be to eliminate one group before they become a threat. But Maggie refuses to give up on the idea of building something better. Maggie tells Renata that leadership means making difficult choices and believing in a better future, even when the situation seems impossible. But before they can solve the conflict, another disaster strikes. The increased demand on the methane tanks causes the power system to fail. The hospital suddenly loses electricity, shutting down vital equipment and stopping the ventilators keeping critically injured patients alive. Without the machines, several patients die. As the survivors' bodies turn into walkers, the hospital quickly transforms from a place of healing into a battlefield where everyone must fight to stay alive. The power failure throws the hospital into chaos. Maggie, Renata, Luis, Herschel, and the rest of the staff are forced to deal with two crises at once, trying to save the remaining patients while also stopping the newly turned walkers from attacking everyone inside. As the hospital becomes overwhelmed, Negan reluctantly agrees to help repair the methane tanks and restore power. He heads down to the basement with Dillard, where they discover the worker responsible for maintaining the system is under attack. The situation quickly becomes dangerous as walkers close in. Negan struggles to save the worker, but Dillard suddenly appears and takes action. Despite all of Negan's attempts to toughen him up, Dillard proves he is capable of protecting others in his own way. He kills the approaching walkers and saves Negan, surprising him with how much he has learned. Meanwhile, the problems inside the hospital continue. During the chaos, an oxygen tank explodes, creating a dangerous fire. Maggie is forced to abandon one patient temporarily in order to stop the flames from spreading and protect everyone else. However, an unexpected act of cooperation comes from one of the Belleville survivors. Instead of continuing the conflict between the two groups, the woman helps save Maggie's Newark patient, proving that not everyone is willing to let the rivalry continue. Herschel struggles emotionally after losing patients despite his efforts to save them. He feels responsible for the deaths, but Louise tries to help him understand that doctors and survivors cannot save everyone in a world like this. Losing people is painful, but continuing to help others is the only way forward. Eventually, the hospital crisis is brought under control. With the immediate danger gone, Maggie, Negan, and Renata meet to decide what should happen with the two rival groups. They know simply forcing them apart will not solve anything, and killing one side would only continue the cycle of violence. Maggie remembers how people from different backgrounds came together when they worked to save Luis's nephew. She believes the same idea can be used again. Instead of forcing Belleville and Newark to fight each other, they need to give them something bigger to fight for. Renata presents the two groups with a choice. She gives them tools made from whatever materials they have available, including makeshift scythes. They can either continue their war and destroy each other, or they can work together to rebuild Central Park and create a place where everyone can survive. The plan does not work perfectly. Bauer and Claudia, unable to let go of their hatred, turn on each other and kill one another. But the rest of the survivors decide to put their differences aside. They agree to work together and begin preparing the park for farming. Negan watches the outcome and is impressed by Renata's decision. Despite his doubts about her leadership, she manages to bring the groups together and proves she is capable of protecting the island's future. Luis, however, remains exhausted by everything that has happened. Although he believes they made the right choice, he admits that he cannot keep losing people he cares about. The responsibility of rebuilding their world continues to weigh heavily on him. Later, Maggie finds Herschel and gives him something meaningful from his past: Herschel Sr.'s watch. She tells him how proud she is of him and reminds him that his father's values and beliefs continue through him. As the community begins to settle after the crisis, Maggie and Renata share a quiet moment together. They drink and reflect on how their dream of creating a safe place is slowly becoming real. Despite all the challenges, they can see progress and hope for the future. Meanwhile, Negan takes his own approach to bringing people together. He invites the new survivors to the bar, creating a place where everyone can relax and connect. Dillard is excited by the arrival of so many new people and rushes back to his room to prepare himself. But inside his room, a disturbing secret is revealed. Dillard has kept one of his old walker companions, Titicaca, chained up. Unlike the other walkers, Dillard believes she can communicate with him. From Dillard's perspective, Titicaca appears to speak and tells him that she does not trust Negan. She believes Negan is changing Dillard and pulling him away from her. She tells him that she loves him and wants him to stay with her.